Remember, you can phone us at any time on the Henry Hotline, 1300 661010. I'm pretty sure it's the number, isn't it? 1300 Yes, it was a number. That's good. Ed Husick, Labor MP, Josh Frydenberg, Liberal MP, both join us now. Morning to you guys.
G'day, how are you?
Good morning.
How would you argue with
Morning,
that,
Ed.
How would you argue with the views of the people?
Oh, look, there's there'll be the good thing about whenever you're talking about these things is there's a whole wide range of views. You know, from my perspective as a backbencher, we just got to get on with the job, and I've got stacks of work out my way and things that need to be done. But there's no denying that people do. There's a huge sense of frustration, and the PM on the weekend tried to deal with that issue.
Yeah. Do you think she left it too late? Do you think she left it too late to deal with it? Because really, nothing has changed. She effectively has gone. She's backflipped. Really, did she leave it too late?
No. Well, she made, as she said yesterday, a judgment call. You know, taking into account the general mood of the community on this issue and the way in which... No, but she's made the call now about, you know,
Should she have made it earlier? Should she have made it earlier?
Well, everyone can make that call. I mean, we could do this as the sports section and talk about, you know, did we make the field goal at the right time?
Which is sort of what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, she's made the call as the PM, and I think she's made the right one.
And I think you're doing the right thing too by sitting up the backbenches and just beavering away, actually working for the people. But I think, Josh, there are a lot of people at home who just sit there and say, what is the government actually doing, rather than just fighting to plug the holes in their own ship?
Absolutely. I think it feels like they're shifting the deck chairs on the Titanic. And it's only a question of time before, you know, Ed and his mates will be pushing for Kevin Rudd again, or maybe even the mauler from Maribyrnong, Bill Shorten, will make a move. So I think everyone senses the inevitability about the end of Julia Gillard's Prime Ministership. Yeah. We want to see the inevitability of the end of this government, to be honest.
I might talk about Kevin Rudd in just a moment, but very quickly, let's tick through them, Josh. Craig Thompson, what's your view?
Look, nothing's changed, as you said. I mean, he may not be in the caucus anymore, but his tainted vote will be still on the floor of the Parliament, and will be going every time with the Labor government. So nothing has actually changed here.
And Ed, there is truth in that, isn't there? I mean, what has actually changed? Essentially, the Prime Minister said, you know, you're not good enough to be in the caucus, but we will, you know, you're good enough to prop the government up and keep us going.
But what's he supposed to do? Like, if he makes a position that he goes as an independent, goes as a backbencher, he's entitled as one of the, 150 members of the House of Representatives to cast a vote. And if he chooses, in this democracy, to vote in the way he does, where is the issue with that?
I know what you're saying, but is it a tainted vote? Is it unacceptable for the Prime Minister to be relying on a tainted vote to prolong the government?
Well, I think it's acceptable that, 150 members of the House of Representatives have their say on things that matter, and if he has issues that come up within the electorate that he represents and will continue to represent until the next election, he should be allowed to do so.
Very quickly, Peter Slipper, do you think he'll ever be back as Speaker? If you had to make a call... Are you a gambling man? I don't know.
No.
Oh, you're not. Imagine for a moment...
There's plenty other ways to lose money. So.
You bet it on Kevin Rudd there, Ed.
Boom tish. I think that's the sound effect we're reaching for.
Do you think Peter Slipper will ever be back as Speaker?
I think it's going to be a lot of time. It just takes too long in terms of the criminal investigations and the civil to be able to make any poll prediction at this point. I think he's
But
made...
if he had to, like, I would say no. I don't think he'll ever make it back.
I reckon it's going to be exceptionally tough.
What do you reckon, Josh?
Look, I don't think he'll make it back, because these are really serious allegations against him, and again, it goes to the heart of the Prime Minister's judgment, Paul.
All right.
But can I just make a point? Like, with Peter... Like, I actually think he's been, and I've said this publicly, privately, wherever, he's been a great speaker. Obviously, he's got to be held to account to these other allegations, and he's entitled to defend himself against those allegations. But in terms of stepping aside this week, we've got the budget coming up, which is critical in any government's year.
And you can't allow him to taint that.
And I think it's important that we just get the budget in place, because this is the one that will set us up in terms of financially or economically getting us back into surplus.
All right, Julia Gillard, is she safe? And I say that in light of umpteen different polls and a lot of talk around the traps that maybe there are a lot of very edgy people sitting on your side of the House.
Well, I mean, the way that political commentary goes this day, another day, more speculation, I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. You just got to, as I said, and I think it's important for the entire government to... Yes, of course she is. Like, I think all the speculation that goes on, as we were talking earlier about what the government's done, you look at it, 300 pieces of legislation. It's not just numbers, it's things across a whole range of areas.
But obviously perception is important, and the perception at the moment, Josh, is that there could be a leadership challenge.
Absolutely. She's not safe. Don't forget that she turned on Kevin Rudd, and she said just yesterday about Peter Slipper that she was removing a dark cloud from the Parliament. Well, there's still a dark cloud hanging over her leadership. Ed knows that better than anyone else because he's firmly in the Kevin Rudd camp. And look, Kevin wants to come back. Bill Short wants to seize his chance. Stephen Smith is in the mix. It's only a question of time.
There are plenty of names there. But
Labor correspondent Josh Frydenberg.
Kevin Rudd assured us that he wouldn't be back, and I take him at his word. Josh Frydenberg, Ed Husick, thank you both very much for joining us.
Paul.
Thanks.
See you, Josh.
Thanks, Paul. See you, mate.
Just gone.